Welcome to this lesson. If you forget names quickly, you are not broken. If you study for hours and forget in exams, you are not stupid. You are using the wrong memory system, and nobody ever taught you the right one. Today, we will fix that. Calmly, clearly, and step by step. This lesson is also great for your English because the sentences are simple and strong. Listen slowly, repeat key lines. Let your brain learn the idea and the language together. First, understand this truth. Memory is not talent. Memory is training. Some people look smart because their system is strong, not because they are special. You can build the same system, even if you failed many times before, but you must start with the real reason you forget. Most people believe forgetting means their brain is weak. They say, I have bad memory, and they accept that as a life sentence. That belief is the first enemy. It kills effort before you even begin. Instead, we replace it with a better belief. I can train my memory. Now let's learn how memory works, using a picture you will never forget. Imagine your brain is a library. Every fact you learn is a book. A name is a small book. A lesson is a big book. When information enters your mind, it does not automatically stay. Your brain first holds it in short-term memory, like a temporary table. Short-term memory is not a storage room. It is a waiting room. Things sit there briefly, then they disappear, unless you take action. Long-term memory is different. Long-term memory is the real bookshelf. If a book reaches the shelf, it can stay for years, sometimes for life. But your brain only shelves what feels important. So the key question is this: how does your brain decide what is important? The answer is simple. Your brain saves what you process, not what you touch. Many people only touch information. They read it once and move on. They listen once and think, I understand, then they stop. Understanding is not storage. It is just a moment of clarity. Storage requires a stronger signal, a signal that tells your brain, keep this. If you do not send that signal, your brain deletes the information to save energy. Your brain is not lazy, it is efficient. It protects you from overload by forgetting things that look unimportant. That is why you forget most of what you scroll, most of what you hear. It is also why you forget lessons you studied without real processing. Now let's make this personal with a situation you know well. You meet someone new. They smile and say, Hi, I'm Jason. You smile back. You talk. You walk away. 5 minutes later, someone asks, What was his name? And your mind goes blank. You feel embarrassed. This is not because your memory is weak. It is because the name never moved from the waiting room to the bookshelf. You heard Jason, but your brain did not label it, repeat it, or connect it. So it vanished, like writing on a whiteboard that gets wiped clean. Now imagine the same moment, but you use a better system. You hear Jason, and you repeat it immediately. You say, Nice to meet you, Jason. You look at his face while saying it. Then you connect it to something you already know. Maybe you think Jason like Jason Statham, or Jason like a movie hero. Your brain loves connections because connections create stronger pathways. Then later, you use his name again. Jason, what do you do? Jason, where are you from? Now your brain receives three signals: repetition, focus, and connection. That combination pushes the name toward long-term memory. So next time you see him, you remember. This is the lesson. Memory is built by the way you handle information. If you handle information like trash, your brain throws it away. If you handle information like treasure, your brain protects it. So from today, stop calling yourself bad at memory. Start saying something stronger. My memory improves when my system improves. Now here is the core rule of Lesson 1. To remember anything, you must do three things in the first minute. First, notice it clearly. Second, process it actively. Third, give it meaning. Notice means you slow down and pay attention. Process means you repeat, summarize, or rephrase in your own words. Meaning means you connect it to emotion, image, or real life. If you do these three things, even for 30 seconds, memory changes. If you do none of them, forgetting becomes automatic. Let's test this with a simple example for English learning. I will give you a sentence. Don't just read it, process it. Sentence. Your mind remembers what you respect. Now repeat it once, slowly. Your mind remembers what you respect. Now rephrase it in your own words. My brain keeps what I treat as important. Now connect it to your life. If I respect my study time, I will remember more. That is processing. That is meaning. That is how storage begins. This is why many students fail, even when they work hard. They spend hours, but they study in a passive way. They highlight pages, they watch videos, they reread again and again, but they do not process, they do not retrieve, they do not connect. So the brain stays calm and says, not important, then deletes it. You are not going to make that mistake anymore because you are building a new identity. You are a person with a system, and a system beats motivation because a system works even on bad days. Before we end this lesson, I want you to do one small practice. Think of one thing you learned today. Maybe it is this idea. Short term is a waiting room, long term is a bookshelf. Now say it out loud in your own words. Then connect it to a moment in your life when you forgot something important. That small action is already training your brain. You are telling your brain, this matters. And when your brain hears that message often, it changes. In the next lesson, we will build the foundation that makes memory powerful. Because most people don't have a memory problem. They have an attention problem. And if you fix attention, your memory becomes sharp again. For now, remember this line and keep it with you today. Memory is not talent. Memory is training. If you can train your body, you can train your brain. And you are starting right now. Welcome to Lesson 2. This lesson will change everything because it fixes the real root. Most people say, I have a memory problem, but the brutal truth is this. You don't have a memory problem. You have an attention problem. You cannot remember what you never noticed. You cannot store what you never truly saw. You cannot recall what you never truly heard. Memory begins before memory. It begins with focus. Think about it like this. Your brain is not a camera that records everything. Your brain is a security guard at a door. Millions of things try to enter every day. Sounds, faces, messages, colors, words. If your brain saved everything, you would feel overwhelmed and exhausted. So your brain filters. It chooses what enters. And the key that opens the door is attention. If you give something attention, your brain says, let it in. If you don't, your brain says, ignore it. That is why you forget names, even when you hear them. That is why you forget what you read, even when your eyes moved across the page. That is why you forget what you studied, even when you sat for hours. You were present with your body, but your mind was not present. And your brain does not store what the mind did not touch. Let's make this real with a painful example. You get out of a taxi, you are tired, your phone is in your hand, your mind is thinking about dinner. You step out quickly and you close the door. 5 minutes later, you realize your bag is missing. Now you try to remember the plate number. Your brain gives you nothing. Why? Because you never paid attention. You saw the car, but you didn't look. You heard the driver, but you didn't listen. The information never entered your memory system. Now imagine a different version of you. Before you step out, you pause for 1 second. You look at the plate. You see the last three numbers clearly. You say them quietly in your mind. You notice the driver's face. That 1 second changes everything. Because attention is the first save button. Most people think memory is something you do after learning, but memory is something you do during learning. If you don't focus during the moment, there is nothing to store later. So lesson 2 is simple, but it is powerful. If you want to remember, you must first notice. Now here is another truth. Modern life is designed to destroy attention. Notifications, short videos, endless scrolling, multitasking. They train your mind to jump every 10 seconds. Your brain becomes a restless animal. So when you sit to study, your eyes are on the book, but your mind is inside another world. And later you say, I studied, but I forgot. But you didn't study with attention. You were only sitting near the book. Attention is not just looking. Attention is being here. So now we build a new habit, intentional focus. And I will give you a simple method that works in daily life. It is called the 5-second lock. Whenever you want to remember something important, do this. Pause, look, name it, repeat it, lock it. Pause means stop moving fast for 1 moment. Look means look with purpose, not with lazy eyes. Name it means tell your brain what it is. Repeat it means say it again, out loud or inside. Lock it means connect it to a small detail. Let's use this method with a name. You meet someone and they say, I'm Lily. Pause, don't rush. Look at her face for 1 second. Name it, Lily. Repeat it. Nice to meet you, Lily. Lock it. Imagine a lily flower near her shoulder. Now your brain has a clear file. This also works for study. When you read an important line, don't just move on. Pause for 5 seconds. Look at the sentence again. Name it. This is the main idea. Repeat it in your own words. Lock it to an image or a feeling or a real example. These 5 seconds are not slow. They are smart. Most people waste hours because they rush. You will save time by slowing down. Now let's talk about multitasking because it silently destroys memory. Many people think they can learn while doing other things. They watch a video while checking messages. They read while listening to random music with lyrics. They study while jumping between tabs. But the brain doesn't truly multitask, it switches. And every switch has a cost. When you switch, attention breaks. When attention breaks, memory breaks. So if you want strong memory, you must reduce switching. One task, one focus, one moment. Even 10 minutes of real focus is stronger than 2 hours of distracted study. Now I want you to understand this line deeply. If it didn't get your attention, it didn't get saved. So don't be angry at your memory. Be honest about your attention. That honesty is power. Now, how do you train attention like a skill? You train it the same way you train a muscle. Small reps, daily. Here are 3 simple reps you can do every day. First rep, single task practice. Choose one simple action, drinking water, washing your face, walking to the kitchen. Do it for 1 minute without your phone. Feel the action, notice the details. This trains presence. Second rep, reading focus. Read one paragraph slowly. After the paragraph, stop. Say the main idea in 1 sentence. If you can't say it, you didn't focus. Read again. Third rep, listening focus. Listen to a short audio for 1 minute. Then pause it and repeat what you heard in your own words. This trains active attention, not passive hearing. Do these reps for 7 days and you will feel the difference. Your mind will become quieter. Your learning will become sharper. Your memory will improve because attention is feeding it. Now let's connect this lesson to motivation and life. Many people feel depressed or lost because they feel out of control. Their phone controls them. Their habits control them. Their distractions control them. Attention training gives you control back. When you control your attention, you control your day. When you control your day, you control your future. And this is also why this is powerful for English. When you listen with attention, your brain catches patterns. You learn phrases naturally. You remember vocabulary because you actually noticed it. So here is your simple mission after Lesson 2. For the next 24 hours, choose 3 moments to use the 5-second lock. 1 moment with a person's name. 1 moment with something you read. 1 moment with something you hear. Pause. Look, name it. Repeat it. Lock it. And watch what happens. You will feel your brain becoming awake again. Because you were never broken, you were just distracted. And now you are training focus like a serious person. In Lesson 3, we will upgrade your memory even more. You will learn how to turn words into pictures. Because your brain remembers images better than text. And when you learn to visualize, you stop forgetting fast. For now, keep this one line. Attention is the door. Memory is what enters. If you want better memory, guard your door. Welcome to Lesson 3. This lesson is where memory starts to feel easy. Most people try to remember words using more words. That is the mistake. Your brain does not think in text. Your brain thinks in pictures. If I say the word apple, you do not see letters. You see a red apple, shiny skin, maybe a bite taken out. That image appears instantly, without effort. This is the secret you have been ignoring. Words disappear, images stay. That is why you forget definitions but remember movie scenes. That is why you forget notes but remember embarrassing moments. Your brain is a visual machine, so if you want powerful memory, you must feed it pictures. Let's be very clear. Trying to memorize words as words is fighting your brain. Turning words into images is working with your brain. Now let me show you how this changes everything. Think about learning English vocabulary. Most learners read a word, read the meaning, and move on. Example, brave means not afraid. Tomorrow the word is gone. Why? Because there was no image, no color, no movement, no emotion. Now let's do it the correct way. Take the word brave. Close your eyes. See a small boy standing in front of a giant barking dog. His legs are shaking, but he does not run. The dog is loud. The moment is intense. That picture is brave. Now you don't need the definition. The image teaches you the meaning forever. This is how your brain learns naturally. Children learn like this. They don't memorize dictionaries. They see, feel, and imagine. Somewhere along the way, adults forget this power. Today, you take it back. Here is the golden rule of Lesson 3. If you can see it, you can remember it. If you cannot see it, your brain will forget it. Now let's apply this rule step by step. First, turn names into pictures. Names are the hardest thing for most people. But names become easy when you visualize. If someone is named Rose, imagine a red rose on her jacket. If someone is named Jack, imagine him holding a heavy jackhammer. If someone is named Sunny, imagine sunlight following them. The picture does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be clear. Your brain will do the rest. Second, turn abstract words into concrete images. Abstract words are dangerous for memory. Words like success, freedom, confidence, patience, they have no shape. So your brain drops them. Your job is to give them shape. Success can be a mountain peak with a flag. Freedom can be broken chains falling to the ground. Confidence can be someone standing tall with shoulders back. Patience can be a clock slowly ticking while someone breathes calmly. Once the word has a shape, it becomes real. Once it becomes real, it becomes memorable. Third, exaggerate everything. Normal images are weak. Strange images are strong. Your brain remembers what surprises it. So make your pictures big, funny, emotional, or strange. If you want to remember loud, don't imagine a radio. Imagine a speaker exploding glass windows. If you want to remember hungry, don't imagine food. Imagine your stomach growling like a wild animal. If it makes you smile, your brain will keep it. Memory loves emotion. Even fake emotion works. Fourth, add movement. Still pictures are good. Moving pictures are better. Your brain evolved to notice movement. So make your images move. If you imagine fire, let it burn. If you imagine water, let it flow. If you imagine a person, let them act. Movement makes memory stick. Now let's use a simple example list. Milk, key, phone, book, shoe. Most people forget this in minutes. Now we use images. Milk. Imagine a giant milk carton dancing. Key. The milk carton unlocks a golden door. Phone. A phone rings loudly behind the door. Book. The phone jumps into an open book. Shoe. A shoe slaps the book shut. You just created a short movie. That list is now permanent. You didn't repeat it 10 times. You saw it once. That is power. Now let's connect this lesson to studying and life. When you read a sentence, don't ask, do I understand? Ask, what do I see? If you see nothing, stop. Create an image, even a simple one. Understanding without imagery is weak. Imagery turns understanding into memory. This is also why motivational lessons work. When you hear, don't waste your life, you imagine time passing, a clock ticking, years disappearing. That image hits deeper than words. You are not just learning English here. You are training your mind to think visually. This skill improves everything. Memory, creativity, focus, even confidence. Because when you can picture success, your brain believes it is possible. Now, a warning. Do not try to make perfect images. Perfection kills speed. Speed builds momentum. Your image can be messy. Your brain doesn't care. It just needs something to grab. One strange picture is better than 10 clean definitions. Now here is your daily practice for Lesson 3. Choose 5 words today, any words. English words, names, ideas. For each word, do this. Close your eyes, create one image. Make it a little strange. Add one movement. That's it. 5 minutes. That is enough. If you do this every day, your memory will feel different within a week. You will stop saying, I forget everything. You will start saying, I remember without trying, because now you are using your brain correctly. Let me give you one final truth. Your brain is not lazy, it is selective. It remembers what looks alive. So stop feeding it dead words. Feed it images. In Lesson 4, we will go even deeper. You will learn how to connect images into stories, because your brain loves stories more than single pictures. And once you master stories, long lists and long lessons become easy. For now, remember this line. Words fade, pictures stay. If you want memory that lasts, start seeing what you learn. Welcome to Lesson 4. This lesson upgrades everything you learned before. If images are the bricks of memory, stories are the buildings. Your brain does not like lists. Your brain likes stories. This is not an opinion. It is biology. Humans remembered stories long before they could read or write. Stories helped us survive, teach, and pass knowledge forward. That wiring still controls your brain today. That is why you remember movies from 10 years ago. But forget a shopping list in 10 minutes. Lists are disconnected. Stories are connected. Memory grows through connection. Now let's understand why lists fail. When you see a list, each item stands alone. No emotion, no movement between items, no reason for the brain to care. So your brain drops them. But when you turn a list into a story, everything changes. Each item becomes linked. One thing leads to another. Your brain follows the path naturally. Let me show you. Here is a boring list. Apple, car, key, chair, rain. Try to remember it. Now let's turn it into a story. You bite into a giant apple. Suddenly, a car crashes through the apple. The car door opens and a key flies out. The key hits a chair. The chair explodes and rain pours from the sky. That's it. You will remember every item in order. Not because you tried harder, but because you worked with your brain. This is the story method, and it is one of the most powerful memory tools in the world. Memory champions use it. Actors use it. Public speakers use it. You can use it too. Now here is the most important rule. Your story does not need logic. It needs connection. The stranger the story, the stronger the memory. Normal stories are weak. Crazy stories are unforgettable. Your brain remembers what surprises it. Now let's apply this to English learning. Imagine you are learning these words: silent fear, courage, voice. If you memorize definitions, they fade. Now build a story. A boy stands silent in a dark room. Fear crawls on the walls like shadows. Suddenly, courage appears like a bright light. The boy opens his mouth and finds his voice. That story teaches meaning, emotion, and memory. You didn't just learn words, you experienced them. This is why stories are perfect for long lessons. You are not storing information. You are watching a movie in your mind. Now let's apply this to studying. When you study a topic, don't break it into bullets. Break it into scenes. Ask yourself what happens first, what happens next, who is involved, what changes. Cause, arrow, effect, arrow, result. That is a story. History becomes powerful when you see people, fear, choices, and consequences. Science becomes powerful when you see forces acting, not formulas sitting still. Even math becomes easier when you tell a story of what the numbers are doing. Story gives meaning. Meaning creates memory. Now let's talk about sequence. Stories help you remember order. Lists do not. If you forget the order of steps, it's because they are not connected. Story fixes this. Let's say you want to remember steps to success. Discipline, failure. Learning, growth. Now create a story. A disciplined person wakes up early. They fail and fall down. They learn from the mistake. They grow stronger and stand taller. That order is now locked. If you change the order, the story breaks. Your brain notices. That's why stories protect sequence. Now let's combine Lesson 3 and Lesson 4. Images plus stories equals permanent memory. Image equals detail. Story equals connection. Together they create flow. Now here is a powerful technique you can use daily. It's called the 1-minute story. Whenever you learn something new, do this. Create one image for each key point. Connect the images into one short story. Walk through the story once. That's it. 1 minute. No repetition needed. Let's practice. Imagine you learn this lesson. Attention, images, stories. Now build the story. A door opens only when attention touches it. Inside, pictures start glowing. Those pictures connect and turn into a moving story. That is your memory system. Simple, powerful. Now let's talk about emotion again. Stories naturally create emotion. Emotion tells your brain, this matters. Even small emotion is enough. Curiosity, surprise, humor, tension. Add one emotional element and memory doubles. That's why this channel works. That's why long motivational stories hold attention. You are not being taught. You are being guided. Now a warning. Do not try to remember everything. Memory works best when you choose what matters. Stories help you filter. You keep the main path. You let small details go. That is intelligent memory, not overload. Now here is your daily practice for Lesson 4. Choose one thing you learned today, create 3 images, connect them into one short story, tell the story once. That's it. Do this daily. Within weeks, long lessons will feel light. You will stop fearing big topics because you are not memorizing. You are traveling through stories. Now let me tell you something important. This method is not only for learning, it is for life. Your life itself is a story. If you see your struggles as random events, they feel heavy. If you see them as chapters, they feel meaningful. The same brain that remembers stories finds strength in stories. So when life feels confusing, connect the dots. See the story you are living? That gives direction. In Lesson 5, we will unlock something even deeper. You will learn how to make memory permanent over time. Not just today, not just tomorrow, but for life. We will talk about spaced repetition, because one-time learning is not real learning. For now, remember this. Lists fade, stories stay. If you want memory that lasts, tell your brain a story. Welcome to Lesson 5. This lesson decides whether knowledge stays or disappears. Most people think forgetting means failure. It does not. Forgetting is normal. The real failure is learning only once. Your brain is designed to forget, and that is a good thing. If your brain remembered everything, it would collapse. So it deletes what it thinks is unimportant. Your job is to teach your brain what matters. And the tool for that is repetition over time. Not cramming, not long study hours, but spaced repetition. Let me explain simply. When you learn something once, your brain says, interesting, but maybe not important, so it stores it lightly. Hours later, the memory weakens. Days later, it fades. Weeks later, it is gone. This is not because you are weak. It is because your brain is efficient. Now here's the secret. Each time you review something after forgetting starts, your brain says, oh, this again? This must matter. And it saves it deeper. Every repetition strengthens the path, like walking on grass. Walk once, the grass rises again. Walk again tomorrow, a path appears. Walk again next week, the path becomes clear. Walk again after 1 month, it becomes permanent. Memory works the same way. This is why cramming fails. Cramming forces information in, but gives no time for roots to grow. It feels good short term, but it collapses fast. Spaced repetition builds roots. Roots survive time. Now here is the simplest spaced repetition system. You do not need apps. You do not need complex schedules. Just remember this rhythm. Learn, review, space, review again. Here is a simple example. Day 1. You learn a new idea or word. Day 1 evening you review it once. Day 2 you review it again briefly. Day 4 you review again. Day 7 you review again. Day 14 you review again. That's it. 5 short reviews. Each review can take less than 1 minute, but the memory becomes permanent. Now let's apply this to English learning. You learn the word resilient. Day 1. You read it and understand it. That is not enough. even if it feels clear. Day 1 evening, you say a sentence aloud. I want to be resilient. Day 2, you write one sentence. She stayed resilient during hard times. Day 4, you try to remember the meaning without looking. Day 7, you use the word while speaking or thinking. Day 14, you hear it again and smile. Now that word belongs to you, not temporarily, forever. This is how language really enters your brain. Now let's apply this to lessons. You listen to a 1-hour story, you feel inspired, but if you never revisit it, it fades. Instead, do this. After listening, write 3 ideas you remember. That same night, read them once. 2 days later, recall them without notes. 1 week later, listen to one small part again. That is enough. You don't need to rewatch everything. Memory does not need volume. It needs timing. Now here is something important. Spaced repetition works best with emotion. If you repeat something with feeling, it locks faster. That is why teaching works so well. When you explain something to someone else, you repeat it emotionally. That counts as repetition. That counts as memory reinforcement. This is why passive repetition is weak. Reading the same page again and again without thinking does not help much. Active repetition is strong. Ask yourself questions. Recall without looking. Explain in your own words. That is real repetition. Now let's clear a common misunderstanding. You do not need to repeat forever. Once memory reaches long-term storage, it stays with very little effort. That is the goal. The early repetitions matter most. Miss them and memory collapses. Do them and memory stabilizes. Think of memory like wet cement. At first it is soft. You must shape it carefully. After some time, it hardens. Then it stays. Spaced repetition shapes the cement. Now here is your daily practice for Lesson 5. Choose one thing you learned today. Write it down. Review it tonight. Recall it tomorrow. Recall it again in 3 days. That is enough. If you do this daily, your brain will change. You will stop feeling overwhelmed because nothing is lost anymore. Everything important comes back stronger. Now let me say this clearly. Smart people are not smarter because they remember once. They are smarter because they revisit. They respect time. They work with forgetting, not against it. That is wisdom. In the next lesson, we will unlock another powerful force, emotion, because memory without emotion is fragile, and emotion without memory is wasted. Lesson 6 will show you how feeling locks learning for life. Welcome to Lesson 6. This lesson is about the most powerful memory force on Earth. Emotion. If you understand this, your learning will change forever. Because your brain does not remember what is important. It remembers what is emotional. Think about your life. Do you remember what you ate 3 Tuesdays ago? Probably not. But you remember the day you felt embarrassed. You remember the day you felt proud. You remember the day someone hurt you. You remember the day you felt loved. Why? Because emotion tells your brain, save this. Emotion is the highlighter of the mind. It marks a moment as meaningful. And once it is marked, it stays. This is why people can forget 100 facts, but never forget one painful sentence. Now, this is not just psychology. It is biology. When you feel strong emotion, your brain activates a system that stores memories deeper. It is like switching from normal recording to permanent recording. That means the goal is simple. If you want to remember something, you must attach a feeling to it. Not only repetition, not only attention, feeling. Now you might ask, how can I feel emotion for boring things? Good question, Because life is not always exciting. Sometimes you must learn boring material, a formula, a definition, a rule. So the skill is this: you create emotion, even if it is fake at first, because the brain does not require real emotion. It only requires emotional signal. Let me show you how. Method 1. Personal connection. Take what you are learning and connect it to your life. Example. You learn the English word abandon. Most people memorize it like this: abandon equals leave, and they forget tomorrow. Instead, connect it. Think of a time you felt abandoned. A friend stopped replying, a dream you gave up, a moment you felt alone. Now say the sentence, I will never abandon my future. Now the word becomes personal, and personal becomes permanent. Method 2. Story emotion. Humans remember stories, not facts. If you learn a date, a concept, or a rule, wrap it in a story that creates feeling. Example, you learn spaced repetition. Instead of treating it as a study rule, imagine a person trying to carry water with a broken bucket. They keep filling it once, then walking away. The water leaks. They feel frustrated. Then they learn to patch the holes little by little each day. Now the bucket holds water. They feel relief. That feeling turns the idea into a memory. Method 3. Surprise and exaggeration. Your brain loves the strange, the unexpected, the funny. This is why you remember random, embarrassing moments for years. So make your learning weird. If you need to remember half, don't just think 1/2. Imagine you are starving and someone gives you only half a pizza. You feel angry. That anger anchors half. It sounds silly, but it works. Because emotion is not about being serious. Emotion is about intensity. Method 4. Pride. This is a powerful one. When you learn something, don't rush to the next thing. Pause, feel proud. Say, I'm improving. That small pride signal tells the brain, this matters to me. Most people never do this. They study with stress and shame. They say, I'm slow. I'm stupid. I always forget. That emotion becomes the thing they remember, not the lesson. So flip it. Train your brain to associate learning with pride, even if the progress is small, because pride creates permanence. Now here is a warning. Emotion can be your enemy too. If you learn with fear, panic, or self-hate, your brain will avoid the material. You will procrastinate. You will feel tired before you even start. So this lesson is also about emotional control. When you learn, bring calm energy, not pressure. Your brain stores better when it feels safe. Safe does not mean lazy. Safe means steady, focused, clear. Now let's make this practical. Here is your emotion lock routine. Whenever you learn something new, do 3 things. 1. Ask, what does this remind me of in my life? 2. Create one vivid image or short story. 3. Say one sentence with feeling. That's it. Example. Word, determined. Life connection, a time you refuse to give up. Image, you climbing a mountain in the rain. Sentence, I am determined to change my life. Now that word sticks. Now if you do this daily, your vocabulary will grow fast. Your confidence will rise because you will stop learning like a robot. You will learn like a human, and humans remember with feelings. This is why the best teachers are emotional. This is why the best speakers use stories. This is why the best videos make you feel something. Because feelings make memory permanent. In the next lesson, we will use this power in a stronger way. We will turn you into a memory builder instantly by teaching what you learn. Because teaching is emotion plus repetition. And when those two combine, your memory becomes unstoppable. Lesson 7 is next. Welcome to Lesson 7. This lesson reveals one of the most powerful memory secrets in the world. If you want to remember something forever, teach it not tomorrow, not next week. Teach it immediately, because teaching forces your brain to rebuild knowledge from inside. And anything you can rebuild, you will never forget. Most people think learning ends when they understand something. That is a lie. Understanding is fragile. It disappears under pressure. But teaching creates structure. Teaching creates clarity. Teaching creates confidence. When you teach, three things happen at the same time. First, you must recall the information, not read it, not see it. Recall it from memory. That alone strengthens your brain. Second, you must organize the idea. You cannot teach chaos, so your mind automatically sorts the lesson into order. Third, you must explain it in simple words, and simplicity is proof of mastery. This is why teachers remember their subjects for decades. This is why people forget what they only read. Now listen carefully. You do not need an audience. You do not need a classroom. You do not need permission. You only need the act of teaching. You can teach in many ways. You can explain to a friend. You can speak out loud to yourself. You can write a short explanation. You can record a voice note. You can imagine teaching a child. Your brain does not care who listens. It only cares that you become the explainer. Let me show you why this works. Imagine you learn the word resilience. You read it. You understand it. But your brain still says, this is temporary. Now you teach it. You say, resilience means standing up again after life knocks you down. It's like a rubber ball that keeps bouncing back. In that moment, your brain locks it in because you used recall, you used emotion, you used structure. That combination creates permanence. This is why students who teach others perform far better. This is why explaining something once can save hours of revision. Now let's talk about fear. Many people are afraid to teach. They think, what if I explain it wrong? What if I sound stupid? This fear destroys memory because fear shuts down recall. But here is the truth. Teaching is not about being perfect. Teaching is about processing. Even if you explain imperfectly, your brain still benefits. In fact, mistakes help more. When you explain something and realize a gap, your brain flags it as important. It wants to fix it. That makes learning deeper. So don't wait until you know enough. Teach while learning. That is how mastery is built. Now let's create a simple rule. Every time you learn something new, teach it once within 10 minutes, not later. Now, because fresh knowledge is easier to rebuild. If you wait too long, memory fades. Here is a powerful daily habit. Learn, teach, lock. Learn something small. Teach it in your own words. Lock it by repeating once more. That's it. This habit alone can double your learning speed. Now let me give you a real example. You watch this lesson. Instead of just moving on, you pause. You say out loud, Lesson 7 says teaching makes memory permanent because teaching forces recall, organization, and clarity. Even saying that sentence once strengthens memory. Now imagine doing this every day. Your brain becomes trained to store knowledge, not temporarily, but structurally. Another powerful method is the fake student. Pretend someone asked you a question. Answer it fully. Example: why do emotions help memory? Why does repetition work? Why does teaching help? When you answer, your brain fires multiple memory paths. That builds strong neural connections. This is also why explaining things in simple English helps your language skills. You are not memorizing words, you are using them. Usage is ownership. Now here is a bonus trick. Teach with examples. Never explain only definitions. Always add a small story. Stories trigger emotion. Emotion strengthens memory. Memory strengthens confidence. Confidence reduces fear. It becomes a positive cycle. Now, one warning. Do not confuse teaching with preaching. Teaching is calm, clear, patient. You are explaining, not performing. If you rush, memory weakens. If you stay calm, memory deepens. So slow down. Speak clearly. Let the words land. Now think about your future. Imagine you learn something today, and instead of forgetting it next week, you still remember it 5 years later. That is the power of teaching. That is how real learners are built. Not by reading more, not by watching more, but by explaining better. In the next lesson, we will go deeper. We will build a structure inside your mind, a place where memories live, a place you can walk through anytime, a system used by ancient thinkers and modern memory champions. Lesson 8 is about building a memory palace, and once you learn it, your mind will never feel crowded again. Welcome to Lesson 8. This lesson will change the way you store information forever. It is called the memory palace. It sounds fancy, but it is actually simple, and it works because your brain loves places. Your brain remembers places better than facts. You may forget what you studied last week, but you still remember your childhood home. You remember the door, the room, the corner where you sat. That is not an accident. Your brain is built to remember space, so instead of forcing your brain to remember abstract words, we use places it already knows. This is the secret behind the memory palace. Ancient Greek thinkers used it. Modern memory champions use it. You can use it too. Here is what a memory palace is. It is a familiar place in your mind. A house, a school, a street, a room. Inside that place, you store memories as images. Each location holds one idea. And when you walk through the place in your mind, the memories appear naturally. Now let's build one together. Step 1. Choose a place you know very well. Do not choose a random place. Choose somewhere familiar. Your home is perfect. Close your eyes. Imagine standing at your front door. See it clearly. Step 2. Create a fixed path. Always walk the same road. Door, living room, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, balcony. This order matters because order creates structure. Structure creates recall. Step 3. Place information as images. Never place words. Always place pictures. Strange pictures, emotional pictures, moving pictures. Let's try a simple example. You want to remember 5 ideas: attention, emotion, teaching, stories, repetition. At the front door, imagine a giant eye watching you. That is attention. In the living room, imagine a heart glowing red. That is emotion. In the kitchen, imagine yourself teaching a class. That is teaching. In the bathroom, imagine a cartoon story playing on the mirror. That is stories. In the bedroom, imagine a clock repeating the same sound. That is repetition. Now walk through your house again. The memories come back, not because you memorized them, but because you visited them. This is the power of the memory palace. Your brain does not feel pressure, it feels familiar, and familiar information stays longer. Now let's talk about why this works. Your brain links memory to location naturally. This is called spatial memory. When you attach information to space, you activate more parts of the brain. More activation means stronger memory. It also reduces confusion. Instead of floating facts, each idea has a home. Now some people say, I'm bad at imagining. That is not true. If you can remember your room, you can imagine. Clarity improves with practice. You do not need perfect images. Simple images are enough. The key is consistency. Always use the same place. Always use the same path. Now let's apply this to real learning. Vocabulary. Choose one room per word. Place the meaning as an image. Example. Word, confidence. Image. You standing tall in front of a mirror. Sentence. Confidence grows with action. Now that word lives in that room. Lists. To-do lists. Shopping lists. Steps. Perfect for memory palaces. Speeches. Place each main idea in a room. Walk through your palace while speaking. No notes needed. Languages. Each room becomes a sentence. Each object becomes a word. You can build entire conversations. Now here is an important rule. Do not overload one place. One idea per location. Too many images create confusion. Keep it clean, like a real house. Another important rule. Review your palace. Walk through it daily. It takes 1 minute. That minute can save hours of forgetting. Now let me address a fear. What if I forget the palace? You won't, because it is already part of you. You live there. Your brain trusts it. That is why this method is powerful. It does not fight your brain. It works with it. Now let's combine Lesson 8 with previous lessons. Attention. Focus when placing the image. Emotion. Make the image emotional. Teaching. Explain the palace to yourself. Stories. Link rooms with a story. Repetition. Walk the palace again later. When you combine these, your memory becomes solid, not fragile, not temporary, solid. This is how memory champions remember thousands of numbers. Not by being smarter, but by using structure. Now here is your practice. Today, build one small memory palace, 5 locations, 5 ideas. That's it. Do not rush. Enjoy the process. Because once you build your first palace, you will never see learning the same way again. In the next lesson, we will talk about timing, when to review, when your brain is strongest, and how sleep can multiply your memory power. Lesson 9 is coming next. Welcome to Lesson 9. This lesson is quiet, but it is powerful. It happens at night. Most people waste it, but those who use it gain a huge advantage. This lesson is about sleep. More importantly, it is about what you do before sleep. Your brain has a secret routine at night. When you sleep, your brain does not shut down. It organizes. It cleans. It decides what to keep and what to erase. Think of your brain as a librarian. During the day, many books are opened. Ideas, words, images, experiences. At night, the librarian returns the books. Some go to permanent shelves. Some are thrown away. What decides this? Timing, repetition, importance, and emotion. This is why the last minutes before sleep matter so much. Whatever you review before sleeping sends a signal. This is important. Save this. And your brain listens. Most people do the opposite. They learn during the day. Then at night they scroll. Videos, messages, noise. Their brain saves the noise and forgets the lesson. Then they wake up confused. They say, I studied yesterday, but I forgot everything. The truth is simple. They never told their brain what mattered. Now let's fix this. You do not need hours, you need 5 minutes. Before sleeping, turn off distractions. Sit or lie quietly. Open your notebook. Or recall in your mind. Review what you learned today. Just the key ideas, not everything. Quality over quantity. Speak them softly, or think them clearly. Visualize them. Feel calm. Feel proud. Then sleep. That is it. This small habit changes everything. Why does this work? Because sleep strengthens memory pathways. Scientists call this consolidation. During deep sleep, the brain repeats information, like copying files from temporary storage to permanent storage. If the file was used recently, it gets copied. If not, it is deleted. So reviewing before sleep places the file at the top. It becomes priority. Let me give you an example. You learn a new English word today, resilience. You like it, but you do not review it at night. You scroll instead. Your brain saves funny videos. Next day, the word feels weak. Now try this. Before sleep, you say, resilience means the ability to recover after difficulty. You imagine a person standing up again. You feel strength. You sleep. The next day, the word feels familiar. That is not luck. That is biology. Another example. You listen to this lesson. You close your phone. You review one idea. Nighttime review locks memory. You sleep. Tomorrow, this idea feels clear. This is how you turn listening into learning. Now let's talk about emotion. Emotion is a memory amplifier. Before sleep, your brain is sensitive. If you feel calm, grateful, focused, memories become stronger. If you feel stressed, angry, noisy, memory suffers. That is why scrolling before sleep is dangerous. It fills your mind with emotion you did not choose. Instead, create a ritual. Same time, same place, same calm feeling. This trains your brain. When the ritual starts, your brain prepares to store. Now some people say, I'm too tired to review. That is normal. You are not reviewing everything. Only one or two ideas. Even one sentence is enough. Consistency beats effort. 5 minutes every night beats 2 hours once a week. Now combine this lesson with earlier ones. Attention. You focus before sleep. Emotion. You feel calm. Visualization. You see the image. Repetition. You repeat softly. Story. You link ideas together. Teaching. You explain in your head. This combination is powerful. It creates deep memory. Now here is a warning. Do not study heavy new material right before sleep. That creates stress. Instead, review what you already touched. Polish. Do not overload. Memory grows best in peace. Now here is your practice. Tonight, before sleeping, turn off your phone. Sit quietly. Recall 3 things you learned today. Say them slowly. Smile. Sleep. Do this for 7 nights. You will notice something strange. You will remember more. With less effort, your mind will feel cleaner, more confident. This is not magic. This is alignment with how your brain works. In the next lesson, we will talk about writing, why writing is the save button on the brain, and how one notebook can change your life. Lesson 10 is coming next. Welcome to Lesson 10. This is the final lesson, and it is one of the most important because it turns learning into ownership. This lesson is about writing. Writing is not just recording information. Writing is saving information. Think about your life. You forget what you hear, you forget what you read, but you rarely forget what you write. That is not a coincidence. Writing forces your brain to slow down. It forces clarity. It forces decision. When you write, your brain says, this matters, and it stores it deeper. Think of writing as the save button of the brain. Without writing, ideas float. With writing, ideas land. Now let's understand why this works. When you write, 3 systems work together. Your eyes see the words. Your hand moves. Your brain organizes meaning. This creates multiple memory paths. More paths mean stronger recall. Reading is passive. Listening is passive. Writing is active. And active learning always wins. This is why students who write notes remember better. This is why journals change lives. This is why great thinkers always wrote. They were not smarter. They were clearer. Now let's apply this to real life. You learn a new lesson today. If you only listen, it fades. If you write one paragraph about it, it becomes yours. You do not need to write pages. You need intention. Write key ideas. Write in your own words. Write slowly. Clarity matters more than beauty. Let me give you a simple example. You learn this idea. Memory improves with focus. Do not just nod. Write, when I focus fully, my brain remembers better. Distraction kills memory. Now it lives in your mind. Add a personal line. I will practice focus today. Now it connects to your life. That is powerful. Now let's talk about handwriting. Typing is fast, but handwriting is deeper. When you write by hand, your brain engages more. You feel the letters. You see the shapes. You slow down naturally. This creates stronger memory. If possible, write by hand. If not, type slowly and intentionally. Speed is not the goal. Understanding is. Now let's connect writing with previous lessons. Attention. You focus while writing. Emotion. You express feeling. Visualization. You describe images. Stories. You narrate ideas. Repetition. You revisit notes. Teaching. You explain on paper. Writing combines all memory tools into one action. That is why it is so powerful. Now let's talk about the notebook. One notebook is enough. Do not buy many. Choose one. This becomes your memory book, your growth book, your mind mirror. Write daily, even 3 lines. Date it. Be honest. No perfection. This notebook will become proof of your progress. Over time, you will notice something beautiful. Your thoughts become clearer. Your words become stronger. Your confidence grows. Because writing organizes the mind. Now let's talk about forgetting. Forgetting is not failure, it is feedback. When you forget, write again. Writing refreshes memory. Each time you write, memory deepens. Do not fight forgetting. Respond to it. Now here is a powerful habit. End your day with writing. Before sleep, write. What did I learn today? What mattered today? What do I want to remember? 3 questions. 3 lines. That is enough. This combines Lesson 9 and Lesson 10. Night review plus writing. This is memory mastery. Now let me say something important. You do not need talent. You do not need genius. You need habits, small habits, daily habits. Writing is one of them. Most people consume. Very few create. Writing turns you into a creator, and creators remember more. Now let's close this journey. You learned how memory works. You learned attention, emotion, visualization, stories, repetition, teaching, memory palaces, night review, and now writing. This is a complete system, not a trick, not a shortcut, a system. If you apply it gently, daily, your mind will change. Your learning will deepen. Your English will improve. Your confidence will grow. You will trust your mind again. Before we end, pause for a moment. Take a breath. Feel gratitude. You showed up. You listened. You learned. Now promise yourself one thing. Do not let this fade. Write something today, even one sentence, because one written sentence can change a life. Thank you for staying until the end. If this journey helped you, stay with us. Subscribe. Walk this path with us. We are not here to waste life. We are here to build it slowly, clearly, together.